politically and feeling so divided politically, it's because watching that announcement, or whatever you call it, there was no one leading at the helm. There was no one giving us calm. There was no one that was trying to bring us together. It was sound like a campaign rally.
A Supreme Court confirmation into a political rally. I mean, I have
and he
watched
loves the chaos of it all as well.
I've been watching these Supreme Court swearing-in ceremonies forever because I just love the sanctity of the Supreme Court. I've always studied the Supreme Court, and to see him talk politically at a swearing-in ceremony is so beyond the pale.
Right.
It was so inappropriate. It hurt me to watch.
It has galvanized people on both sides, and Mitch McConnell even said that this was a gift to Republicans, that it has galvanized a lot of voters. And I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying these numbers, which I know, I agree that polling, we can only go so far, but this much of a jump when you're talking about 54 to 40, these are big numbers.
Do you think women, female Republicans, what's the takeaway for them?
Republicans, I'm going to say that right,
but
first and foremost.
I don't know if there's been a poll of it, but it strikes me that female Republicans in particular, hearing the president say he's been proven innocent
53%,
after having watched Ford's testimony.
It doesn't matter to 53%.
I'm sorry, can I just point out that we had a similar conversation when Roy Moore was running?
Yes,
and everybody said, this is what it's going to be. The truth of the matter is, no one knows what it's going to be. All you're responsible for is what you do. So I'm saying if you are a Republican or if you're a Democrat or independent, get out and vote. Make your voice heard. The media and everybody will say, well, this is what's happening. And I think oftentimes it's put out there to make you feel like, well, why am I even bothering? On either side. On either side.
No, it's a great point.
So,
I think what bothered me most about it last night was, first of all, it was ceremonial, which meant it didn't have to happen. He got sworn in on Saturday. So they did this little dog and pony show so that he could trot out his guy.
It's like, rah, rah, we won.
Yeah, it's like the gloating of it bothered me. But on the backs
especially in that context.
On the backs of women in this nation, not even just Dr. Ford, that are suffering and have put themselves out there to share their stories, to then go rah, 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 he's innocent, when that is not what was proven.
I actually thought a lot about Dr. Ford just the past few days. I've thought about Kavanaugh's family too, and watching them up there. You could see it in their faces, just what they've been through with the past month. It's all we've talked about at the show for the past month. But I've also thought about Dr. Ford and the fact that she wasn't even mentioned yesterday. It was, I feel so bad for Kavanaugh's family, and there are more people involved in this. And here she is sitting, who knows where she is, but putting herself out there. She didn't want to speak publicly.
But the optics
and then
that
losing
you're
that battle
talking about, Yvette, are important, because I agree with you that the ceremony aspect of it, I would have pulled immediately. I actually, had I been emotionally capable of being on the show at the time that this happened, the second Kavanaugh had that accusation, I would have pulled him and I would have put up Amy Coney Barrett.
100%.
It was my first choice instead.
100%.
And I didn't understand why we let the circus continue, as I said earlier, and we can believe whatever polls we want, but it has galvanized a lot of people. But I do think for conservative women, we are being asked questions right now that are very hard to answer in a lot of different ways. But I would have left out, I 100% agree with you, that optically it was toned down.
But it was done for a reason. It was done, and it's the question. Well, it's not even the base. It's a reminder. It's a reminder, you know, and that's why it's interesting, because, again, one of the things that we've been saying on this show for the last couple of weeks is that, you know, sexual assault doesn't care how you vote.
Right. No.
So this is something that is primarily about women and being believed. And so when he said to who's the Al Franken, you should have stayed, you know, you got out too soon.
Trump said that?
Yeah. Said you should, oh no, that was a couple of days ago. He said, you know, if you just denied, you should have denied it.
You were where you needed. You were where you needed to be.
You know.
But also, Joy has also said that Al Franken should come back in. Like, she has publicly on this show many times. We've gotten in conversations about it. So this is where things get tricky. As a conservative woman, I don't speak for all conservatives, but okay, so Al Franken, who assaulted, by the way, my friend, Leanne Tweeden, and there are photos of it, he should be allowed back into Senate. And again, Joy can come back here. She's more than capable of defending herself. But that's okay. But for conservative women, there's a different standard. And I think the problem with all this that we talked about many times is that the goalpost keeps getting moved. And we need to know if it means Al Franken's allowed to come back.
Well, but Al Franken left. He took himself out. He took himself out and said,
take the moral high ground.
Well,
Democrats want to take the moral high ground.
Joy said he should come back, and that it should. It was not. I don't remember exact quote.
But he hasn't been coming back, and the point is, This man said, basically, see, if you just waited and denied it, you'd have been fine. That was the message that he put out
Well,
the other
he was
day.
fine, as of
and
now.
he
No,
is
but
still
he's
fine.
Teflon. No one
Yeah.
else is Teflon, but he's Teflon.
I want to see where conservative women fall on this issue.
53%
really
is
do.
where they fall.
I think that conservative women, like most women, will make up their mind when they make up their mind, and you'll know where they stand on the day that they need to vote. That's,
have people-
and I think that's good, and we have to go.
Okay.
We got to go. We'll be right back.
Not the former president's endorsement.
Tomorrow on Your Morning, former Governor General David Johnston on his new book, all about trust.
And why autumn could spell danger for your pet. Start your morning in the know Wednesday here on CTV.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by...
Welcome back. It's been 2 years since the infamous Access Hollywood video derailed Billy Bush's career. He just posted on Instagram that it humbled him, but he also felt he was betrayed and abandoned, and calls for the end of the war on flaws, which he blames on activist media and social media. Is he letting himself off the hook here? I don't know. I don't know.
The picture's not humble. I mean,
Well, the thing is, I said this during our morning meeting. Sometimes I'm conflicted when it comes to Billy Bush because the president is the one that made the grab him in the genitals comment, and he's in the White House. And then you have all these other people, and Kavanaugh is on the Supreme Court, but Billy Bush can't get a job. And so I wonder, how do you forgive him? But he's also was an enabler.
Right.
During this process.
Not even just in that process, but well, it was later, but we found out about it earlier. I remember during the Olympics when Ryan Lochte had his little, that young man was out on the town. Everybody was saying that he was a young guy. He was 32 and he's just a kid. And I remember he got into a back and forth with Al Roker. And all I remember, Billy Bush, all I remember about that moment was Al Roker and that stir. If you guys go online and look it up, Al Roker was working that tea because Billy Bush kept saying that that people were embellishing, that Lochte was just embellishing
And
what he
Lochte
said.
was a kid.
That he was a kid. And Al Roker was like, no, he lied. He lied to his parents. He lied to the American people.
Yeah.
He's not a child. And I feel like it's the same thing that we saw in Kavanaugh. I have to go back to that. But we allow these boy men, these dude bros, to be dude bros well into their whatever. And they're
40s.
able to drink their stuff and do
70s.
whatever,
70s.
whatever they want to do. And we just
90s.
accept it.
Yeah.
And I don't... You can do whatever you want in this life. You can say whatever you want, but there are consequences. And I feel like right now, there are certain people in society that are just realizing that there's consequences for them as well. And they feel like victims because what has been happening to everybody else is finally happening to them. If you do something dumb, you might lose your job.
You might lose your job.
Now, they've been
Yeah.
falling forward for generations. They're moving up. We're Supreme Court now. We love beer and squee and PJ. But there are consequences to your behavior. And if Billy Bush, God bless him, has now found the consequences for him, then I'm going to let him ride it out
I
because
totally
consequences
agree.
build character.
But I think what he's, I totally agree with that. I agree with that. And I think as a society, we're all forgiving people. Like when we had Norm Macdonald on the show just a few weeks ago, that was such a moment for all of us, for him to explain himself. He got in a lot of trouble for siding with the folks that have been accused. And we allowed him to explain where he was coming from. And I think all of us in that moment forgave him in a sense. So I'm all for forgiving people. I think what Billy Bush is saying is, I took accountability. I was punished for it. Not everyone was. NBC was part of this. The president was part of this. Why was I the only one that took the fall?
But my thing with the Billy Bush thing in particular is if you listen to the video, it's that Trump's joking about grab her in the genitals, and then the woman he's joking about, Billy pushes her physically.
go,
and is like,
he enables
hug her,
her.
hug her. And that was my biggest problem with it. I distinctly have a memory. I was in Boston with my friends, watching that video, being horrified, and having a conversation with my father being like, you cannot support this type of behavior.
Right,
You cannot
right.
support this. And having this really long conversation with my dad just about, thank God that I miraculously live in some unicorn land where I have a father who never behaved or spoke like this. But I will say shaming culture is something that I'm 100% against. I think
What do
we've
you
gone
mean
way too far.
by shaming
Well,
culture?
like one example that I was going to give is yesterday, I had a rough day coming back to the show yesterday. It's just been hard. Everybody knows that. And I talked about when I first found out my dad had terminal cancer with the lifespan of 12 to 14 months, I said that I got wasted, which I did that night. And there was a headline yesterday that said, Meghan McCain, The View's Meghan McCain tearfully opens up about drinking through her dad's cancer. First of all, screw you. I did not drink through my father's cancer.
Let me put it this way.
Well,
You know, until you lose someone, until someone goes, shut up.
That's right.
Because unless you've been there, and I was high through my brother's death, and I was high through my mother's death. And you know why? Because sometimes it's hard to put one foot in front of the other, and until you've been there, shut up.
But after everything that you said yesterday,
But I think that also, exactly what you said, until you walk in someone's shoes in situations like that. But are you going to shame Whoopi and I for dealing with death the way that we dealt? And by the way, God, therapy, doctors. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, took my dad to radiation and chemo treatments. How dare you say that I am somehow an alcoholic or imply that? And by the way, even if I was, I'd be talking about it on the talk show that I co-host. And I just don't understand this culture of shaming us for our vices. I like to drink on occasion. I do not have any substance abuse problems.
enjoy drinking with
And I'm sorry,
It's
and it's legal.
But here's the
Drinking
exact
is
problem.
legal, y'all.
Drinking is totally legal.
Yeah.
But of
Yes,
everything you
It's not
said
the
yesterday,
20s.
of everything you said yesterday, of being faithful, of
That's
emotions,
what they grabbed.
that was the headline. That was all in red.
But we know what that is. That's to get people to click and do all of that.
But
Clickbait,
you're
they
shaming
call it.
me for drinking Jack Daniels.
But everything is shame. Everyone
But we
gets
tend to
shamed
shame
here.
women more than we tend to
That's
shame
true, because
men.
somebody said they love beer and anybody have problems.
Well, that was my point, right? Nobody had a problem with it. And in fact, he was lauded
didn't
for
have a
it.
thing.
He was lauded for it. And I go back to my original point. I don't think that women can have it both ways. You have someone like Susan Collins who says, I really believe Dr. Ford, but I believe she was assaulted, but I don't believe that Kavanaugh did it. I mean, you cannot have it both ways. You can't say that I believe a woman until I don't believe her.
I
mean, it just
freely
doesn't make
admitted
sense.
to getting wasted, so it wasn't an accusation.
But also,
I said yesterday.
Listen, she ate it last time she stood up for the right
Susan
side,
Collins.
Susan Collins. So I understand, and we heard Heidi Heitkamp say, listen, I know I'm not going to get reelected because of where I stand on this, but I have to stand up. And if you don't stand up for something, you will fall for anything. And that's kind of where we are right now.
Can't be on the sideline.
The bottom line really is, you folks have a decision to make. What is your threshold? How much do you want to win?
Right.
Is it worth your daughter's assault and not being believed? Is it worth that? You have to make it. Everybody in the room has to make a decision. Where do you stand and how do you stand? And are you strong enough to stand up? I know Heidi's not going to win, but damn it, I'm so proud of her for saying this means more to me than winning.
You just said don't believe the polls.
Yeah, you
Stranger
never
things
know.
have happened. You never.
Well, stranger things have happened, but I just want to.
Do you think she would have done it if she were 2 points down?
I think she would have done it no matter what.
Yeah.
And I also believe that that's why I say, like, those two women, Susan Collins and the other woman who stood up against Susan DeVos, Betsy DeVos. You know, they stood and said, this is not good. They got shouted down. They got voted over. Sorry, baby. Go ahead. But we'll be back.
Well, I would say hi.
I voted for my own dad. He was running for governor, and I just so happened to be the age that you could vote. I was so proud that I was able to go in, and I was able to give him a vote. That's why I always say, vote for something you believe in and for someone you believe in, because you'll never forget the first time that you voted. It's a huge deal.
Go to our website.
Welcome back. So Kanye West is heading to the White House on Thursday for a meeting with the current resident to discuss prison reform, gang violence, and bringing manufacturing to Chicago.
Yep.
So which one of these two folks are going to benefit more from this get-together?
Does the Oval Office have enough room for the two egos? I mean, no, they're both similar that way. On the surface, it does have enough room, I think. On the surface, it sounds great. I mean, I'm all for prison reform and finding ways to give people jobs that are released from prison and more manufacturing in Chicago. That all sounds great. The problem is you put the two names on top of that. I think that's when you lose some people because Kanye is such a wild card.
But wasn't that what Omarosa was supposed to be doing?
Yes. She was the liaison for black people.
She did so much for us, you guys.
She was so helpful. Right? So
Well,
very
because
helpful.
I know that the new guy believes that we don't appreciate him as black people. We don't appreciate him enough.
Occupant,
And so,
occupant, thanks.
yeah. And so I know he is trying all kinds of ways to reach out to people of color.
Do you think this is outreach to people of color, or this is someone with a lot of followers wears my hat and talks about me on SNL, and I like
you know
it
what?
'cause he likes it?
That's why I asked you all the questions.
It
Yeah,
could be
that's
a
what I'm thinking.
combination of both. I will say this, you know, Kanye infamously said Bush doesn't care about black people.
did say that.
I don't think Trump cares about black people. I mean, he's meeting with Kanye West, talking about prison reform, yet he just said that stop and frisk should be implemented in Chicago. Stop and frisk was one of the significant problems that black and brown boys had all over our country.
People. How about black and brown people?
Yeah.
And the suggestion somehow that, you know, I'm going to meet with Kanye, but you should also stop and frisk is ridiculous.
You go, baby.
As I have said many times, I don't have a problem with celebrities talking about politics. We have a celebrity in the White House.
Right.
I just want you to be educated on what you're speaking about. And as someone who also, this news story happened when I was not here, but when he was on SNL ranting at everyone, I used to work at SNL. That poor audience was hijacked, sitting in front, forced to not leave, yelling at everyone, and not saying anything truly substantive. I watched it. All right, tell me what policies you like that the president has implemented. Tell me what you like policy-wise. What makes you a conservative or Republican now,
Right.
Kanye? He has yet to explain this, and this is my problem with him getting so much attention. And Republicans, be wary of the MAGA-wearing hats right now. Don't go through every shiny celebrity ball who's going to come to our side. When I said before, I didn't know how, and I know it's a little controversial, how well Kanye may be given some of these rants, the TMZ one.
The problem I have with talking about Kanye is that he has
I
admitted...
said it, Whoopi. I said it.
He has-
I
No,
did.
you did.
But
You're laughing.
He's admitted to being bipolar. He said that he was diagnosed.
Now, the guy in the White House or Kanye?
Kanye. No, the one in Kanye.
Kanye has admitted it. Doesn't admit anything.
He said he was diagnosed at age 39. And, you know, mental illness is so serious.
You're right,
And
you're right,
and
you're
I
right.
think we're seeing someone suffering from mental illness who says he's off his meds.
So
and
let me
the president's
do
meeting
this.
with him.
So this weekend on SNL,
Yeah.
Pete Davidson took on Kanye West's pro-Trump rant from last week's episode, and recent statements like slavery is a choice.
that
so
one.
take a look.
That one.
Kanye is a genius, but like a musical genius. You know, like Joey Chestnut is a hot dog eating genius. You know, but I don't want to hear Joey Chestnut's opinion about things that aren't hot dog related. Kanye, I know you're like, yo, this is the real me. I'm off the meds. Take them. There's no shame in the medicine game. I'm on them. It's great. Being mentally ill is not an excuse to act like a jackass. Okay?
So, you know, Pete Davidson has famously talked about being a borderline personality sort of person, and it's characterized by extreme emotions, impulsiveness, unstable relationships, and distorted self-image, intense fear of abandonment, difficulty tolerating being alone, inappropriate anger, impulsiveness, and frequent mood swings. You were present as hell, Pete.
Yeah.
You were present as hell, and you were laying it down. So I guess the question is, will Kanye hear it? Can he hear it?
Well,
Not
the
if he's
problem
off
is,
his meds.
if you have a family member that suffers from mental illness, I think we all do or have close friends, it is one of the hardest things to navigate because you have to try and get inside their head, which is an impossible task, and convince them that there is a big enough problem that they need to get help, and they're not willing
you
to do
can't
that. So
just
there's only
admit
so
this.
much you can do. So if you're Kim Kardashian, you feel for her in this moment. I mean, what do you, on the surface, everything looks
I'm
perfect.
not trying to make light of any of this, and
No.
especially not mental illness.
No.
What I'm trying to say is that you want to come into my wheelhouse, which is the political wheelhouse, and the conservative wheelhouse that I've been in since I was in utero, then you better come here and tell me policy-wise why you're supporting a man that doesn't necessarily always espouse
But it's not even,
conservative
for him,
ideals,
it's not even
which he is not doing.
about policy, because I don't know when he's been on or been off meds, but if he was diagnosed at 39, he's been off meds for most of his life. And he was, sometimes he was lucid, I can't say lucid, I don't know his diagnosis, but
Bipolar,
there were
so
times,
sometimes manic and sometimes
I
depressed.
just feel like this is not even about the policies at this point. He just wants the attention. It's an attention grab at this point. And I don't know who around him, his handlers, his wife, who can get to him. I know this, I have type 2 diabetes, and there's times when my numbers are low, I feel like I can have sweet tea, and I'm wrong. And I hope if someone sees me with sweet tea, they will slap it out of my hand, and I feel like...
I will.
Thank you. So I feel like the things that he's touching, the social media and the attention, are his sweet tea, and he thinks that he can do these things because he feels like he's okay, but that's his sweet tea.
But his people.
Well,
I
it'll
know.
be-
It breaks my
will
heart because I just.
It will
cannot
be
help him.
whatever. Again, you know, it's one of those things we don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
And so we're just going to have to ride this one out, too. We're becoming really interesting surfers. We'll be right back.
Hope it's a blue wave.
Want to watch The View, but you're not at home?
No.
Well, that's okay. Take us with you. Now you can enjoy The View for
Welcome back. As part of a new book called Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies, actress Keira Knightley penned a letter to her 3-year-old daughter telling her that Royal Kate Middleton did a disservice to mothers for her photo op looking flawless self just hours after giving birth, because it minimalizes the physical and mental pain that moms go through. You know how we were talking about shaming folks?
Yeah.
Now, Kate Middleton might be one of those women whose body bounces back. She, you know, it's, you know, and she knows her job. She does what she has to do. She looks like she don't want to be bothered, but she has a smile. You know what I mean? But is that a good enough reason to say that she makes you feel bad because you are not her and mothers don't bounce back? You know, every birth is different, I thought, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not a mother, so that I'm jumping at first is ridiculous. But I kind of feel like the bigger issue is what society says we should be as women, more so than what Kate. That's Kate's body. She had 3 kids. She's been outside with the concave stomach every time right after. So that's her body. But I feel like society tells us that we have to be something that is not.
But this is women doing it. This is
100%.
women doing it to other women.
It's true because I've not been in a lot of relationships, but the ones I've been in, they like me a little meatier. The men have no problem with the little butt and gut, as we call it. But I feel like, right?
I like that.
Right? That's a Cleveland term, butt and gut. But I feel like, somehow we as women are always like, well, when did she, how did she? And I think that Keira and all that she's trying to do to make her daughter feel loved and supported, she's now becoming the one doing the same shaming that she says is happening to her. She put it on Kate.
I would imagine that Kate's probably miserable in that. I mean, she's smiling, she's happy she had a kid, but having just gone through this 10 months ago, and you
know she
ladies
has a diaper on under that.
I left the hospital wearing a full diaper. I mean, I was wearing a diaper and then my husband's sweatpants because those were the only things that I could fit over me.
Of course.
You look in the mirror right after you have the baby and you realize you're still pregnant.
Yeah.
You still have a full
Mommy's
stomach.
in the audience, didn't all y'all have a diaper on?
This is real stuff. This is real stuff. It's not Kate Middleton's fault.
I didn't, but I also have to say that no, I didn't.
But that's
you know,
her body.
40 years ago, you know, it was a different groove. It was a whole different groove. You know, there wasn't a party in your room.
Right.
You were the only one in there with the doctor, and when they said push, you pushed. So everyone's experience with their child is different, and Kate's letter is part of a bigger book that's there. It's not just her writing this. But why do you think that? Is it social media that's gotten us all to feel like our opinion about shaming and what other people should do really matters?
Because I didn't have that pressure when I had my kids. I gained 60 pounds with ones.
I did
Don't
too.
shame me.
I did too.
Right, 65
and you know what? When I go on
pounds,
Daily Mail, and we were talking about this morning, I see more photos of women 5 weeks after the baby, they're back to their pre-baby weight. It's like,
I believe that's photoshopping.
All I
And
know
it's
is
all
that I
photoshopping,
probably
yeah.
wouldn't have the kind of career I have if I hadn't been fat shamed, because Laura Ingraham fat shamed me years and years and years ago. Google it. And I came on this show and told her to kiss my fat ass, launched my career. Launched it. And I always feel like women don't like it. I hate body shaming on every level because I get body shamed all day, every day. I don't care. Same with you, by the way. Men never complain.
They never
by the
do.
way,
They
one way or the
never
other.
do.
But I just think that we have to get to a better place, which I do think has happened. I really do think we're much more conscious of it. Still can't get that bathing suit with the underwire, though. Apparently your daughter is going to make it for me.
She's making it for you, baby.
But I just think, you know, if I hadn't been body shamed, I might not be here hosting this show.
I can't believe she did. Laura Ingraham just blocked me on Ingram. I don't even know her name. She blocked me on social media. I felt like it was like a badge of honor.
I hope she blocks me someday.
Sonny, were you shaming
she
her?
blocked me.
Were you shaming her?
I didn't know who she was.
She's got a big show.
Just be real. I think the lesson, everyone just has got to be real. We got to just relate to each other. We're not, none of us are perfect. And we wear diapers, you know.
I am.
We do wear diapers.
I'm a perfect me. I'm as perfect as I can possibly be at this hot second.
That's right.
Tomorrow, who can say what will happen? But today, I am the perfect Whoopi. As we all are. We are the perfect people we can be. You know? And you know what? If you agree with this, then don't clap back on shaming folks. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just, let's see if we can break the
Unnecessary.
habit.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. Diabela has a new book called Do Not Disturb, which comes out today, and she'll be here to talk about it on October 25th, so rush on out and get it.
Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy it.
It's a great book. It's a
You
great
know,
book.
and so someone came across a list of 22 things one woman banned her boyfriend from doing. Like he can't be friends with a single woman on social media.
Was it Sunny?
I do.
It's possible.
I can
but let me
decipher.
finish what I'm telling, because then you can tell me anything.
Yeah.
He can only hang out with his friends twice a week and can never take longer than 10 minutes to text her back. She made him sign on a piece of paper. Now, people are laughing about it, but how would they feel if a guy wrote this to his girlfriend?
I didn't like it that a girl wrote it to a guy. I thought it was really crazy.
Well, this is how I decipher it. Because, you know, I have some
You're a little
crazy
crazy
in
in
me
you, Sonny. Go
when it comes to dating. So he
Which you
clearly...
haven't done for 20 years. I'm just
Yes,
pointing out.
yes.
Okay.
I just get to be crazy with my husband now. But, so basically, he cheated on her.
Okay.
I can
Wait.
tell that.
Do you know? No.
Say allegedly.
You think
You're a
in your
lawyer.
mind
Allegedly.
It's
Allegedly.
possible.
You
It's
are
very
a lawyer.
possible. I'm deciphering it.
Yeah.
Okay, because she says you are not to have a single girl's phone number. She also says you are not to hang out with Keegan, meaning he must have hung out with Keegan when he cheated on her.
Led him astray.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
he
then
did.
she
You
also,
know, this boy is going to come after you if you keep saying that he did
Allegedly.
that.
Allegedly. Keegan
Okay.
did.
now also he can't. You are not to go to Honda without me. So he probably allegedly cheated with the girl at the Honda.
Because you don't
That's why he can't do it.
Nobody goes to
If I catch you around girls, I kill you. What the hell's that mean?
She went
There's
too far.
women everywhere.
She went too far right there.
I kill you.
Can I have that sign? Can you give me that sign?
I kill you.
No, come over here, Rob. Just hand it to me. Sir, this is what you need to show your old lady, okay? It's a wrap.
It's a wrap?
We'll be right back.
Could impact permit parking in residential neighborhoods. Plus, live from the CN Tower, where brave new Canadians are taking the oath of citizenship on the Edge Walk. These stories and more on CTV News right after The View.
So here's the thing. Whoa! So, Yvette.
Yes.
This is something I wanted you to see.
And
it was sent to me, made me laugh. It's a great meme. Please
I'm
show
ready.
it. When your pants suspect something.
Whoopi, this is perfect for me because
So
I love a good side eye.
I know, and so if the man's pants are in your room and they're looking like this, shift it out.
It's a wrap.
We are glad you watched. We are glad you came. We want you all to have a great day and take a little time to enjoy whatever view you happen upon.
I heard you can get pure fibre internet in Toronto. It's the world's best internet technology.
आप मूवी सेकंड्स में डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं।
Toronto कितना lucky है?
Dicono che l'internet ha la velocità della luce. Puoi fare quello che vuoi.
At 1.5 gigabits per second, Pure Fiber internet from Bell is the absolute